Well, any other Civ 6 people out there? Isn't that just such a great game? It's the one more turn game. Has anyone played all through the night? Me and my wife have together. She's logged every hour with me. And we sometimes are, she keeps track of this app that has like our total winnings and losings lifetime. And she's beating me by like 20 games. And there's a lot of games on there. And we have had some not speaking to each other nights. All right, we're gonna, I guess the one thing that I thought was really fun, I've seen people rap before, but have you guys ever seen it signed? I mean, I wonder what goes through your head when you're signing and a guy's like getting up to rap. I don't know if that's scary or not, but it seems very scary. All right, we're going to go over some things. You know, I'm the CEO of Pattern, and Pattern will do, you know, this year we'll probably do about $1.5 billion in revenue, so a pretty big company. And we've been really focused on this, just the e-commerce formula in general. And I think in the e-commerce space, there's a lot of spaces where AI is tough. If it's not 100%, say, then what do you do? So, you know, self-driving cars, for example, if you get it 99% of the way there, then you can still kill someone, and it almost makes it useless, right? I mean, they might make it, but then you look across other industries and you say to yourself, gosh, there's some really interesting opportunity in these other areas. And I think e-commerce might be the best opportunity to jump into AI and really impact the state of the landscape here. All right, just a quick, you know how when technologies come out, sometimes we overhype them, sometimes we underhype them. What do you guys think on AI? Is it underhyped or overhyped? And I don't know, no one really knows, per se, but there's quite a bit of hype about it, and I don't know, maybe it's right or maybe it's wrong, but how many say underhyped? Okay. Here's some other things that were underhyped that were really wrong. I love this one. The 10 things that are wildly overhyped. Number 1, the iPhone. How about the overhyped group? How many of you think it's overhyped? Okay, so probably there's more, but notice that there is a bit of a split. Like, where does this really land, and how does it impact us? I don't know, but this was just too fun to pass up. They're talking about the internet. Take a listen.
Wait, how does what do you write to it, like mail?
No, a lot of people use it and communicate. I guess they can communicate with NBC writers and producers. Allison, can you explain what internet is?
No, she can't say anything in 10 seconds or less.
Oh, Allison will be in the studio shortly.
What does
it mean?
It's a giant computer network made up of, started from...
Oh, I thought you were going to tell us what this was.
It's like a computer billboard.
It's not it's a computer billboard, but it's nationwide. It's several universities and everything all joined together.
Right.
And others can access it.
Right.
And it's getting bigger and bigger all the time.
It came in really handy during the quake. A lot of people, that's how they were communicating out to tell family and loved ones they were okay, because all the phone lines were down.
I was telling Katie,
But you don't need that. You don't need a phone line to operate internet. No.
It's amazing how far I wonder if we're going to be doing this in 10 years with AI, probably to some degree. Okay, so specifically in retail, you see, you know, over the years, some really interesting advancement. And I'll go fairly quick. You know, the only thing that drives me nuts about this slide is, did anyone notice the spelling on Alan Turing, the Turing test? You know, who did? Good for you guys. You know, the Turing test is pretty interesting. Essentially, it's, you know, he wrote the paper, I believe, in 1956 or something, or 1950. Oh yeah, it was 1950. It was data and machine intelligence. And essentially came up with this test that says, hey, can a human be deceived between, if you were to hide behind the scenes, another human and a machine? So could you have an interaction, and would it actually fool a human judge? And they've Googled recently, everyone sets out to see, like, have we hit this yet or not? And does anyone know what percent we're up to? 40. Well, the one test was at 40, but Google did it. OpenAI did another one that was at 33%. So they're able to fool the human 33%, 40%. Some of you are probably thinking what I thought when you heard that, which is you could do that with almost anything, right? And I guess 10 years ago, the number was 20%. So I thought it would have made more progress there. And then we have John McCarthy here. He gets credit for at least coining the phrase artificial intelligence in a paper. But you always get, if you guys ever want to make sure you're on a slide someday later in life, you need to write papers. Because if you don't write the paper, no one will care. Even though there's probably a bunch of other people talking about it. All right, we talked about sort of the self-driving concept versus just e-commerce. I'm not making a pitch for you guys to come and work at in e-commerce, but I sort of am. And pattern.com if you're interested. All right, so this is pretty interesting if you just start thinking about the evolution of these models, because the real key that we're now seeing is really the evolution of these LLMs, right? The large language learning models. My background is 20 years all in data science, machine learning, all of those things. And so we've been doing AI technically for a long time, because if you do machine learning, you're doing AI. But what's really changed the game is this transformer. There's a paper written in 2017 by like 6 or 8 guys about the transformer technology, which is the T in GPT, right? And the transformer technology has really changed the game, these large language learning models, and they're fascinating. We're not talking about like millions of lines of code here. We're talking about streams of code. And then it will build neural networks that they still don't totally know exactly how something works. So if you teach the machine how to play Othello, you're like, and it plays a perfect game, you don't know exactly how it learned it. So you start using probes. They use probes just like any, in your brain or whatever, and they start saying, okay, what are the parameters? How did it learn how to play Othello? So it's somewhat scary, but not really, because it's limited right now to language, really. At least, we can apply it to anything, but, these models. And you get like Llama, that was Facebook's model. And I think it has 65 billion parameters, 20 trillion tokens. So the parameters of each of those points in the neural network, and then the tokens, you can tokenize an image or tokenize a string of text or anything. And that's a lot. And Google magnanimously decided to open source that after it got hacked and released anyway. So it's cool that they did that. But you can essentially take one of these foundational models, and there's some good ones out there. Dolly would be more on the image side, and you guys are probably familiar with them. I know they were using BERT earlier. So you can build something on top of these, and then you can customize a model, and there's a lot of people doing this. Now, the debate is, should you customize the model or not? Bloomberg's been building one for a couple years. And of course, whenever you do something that doesn't fall into the open source world, all the open source nerds, all of us out there, right? We love to see if we can beat the Bloomberg model. So Bloomberg, of course, is just, it does all of the learning on just financial data. And now it's been demonstrated to be beat many times with just the open source models. So you can spend 2 years. I don't know if I would advise spending a lot of time up there, because I just don't think you'll be able to keep up. But there are a lot of people doing that, and it's making NVIDIA stock go up. So, if you own NVIDIA. Okay, so this is my take a little bit on the impact that it will probably have. It has to be positive. So, mathematically. Because if you essentially take and say, okay, so in any model, y is a function of x, you'll have, if you have a language learning model and you apply all these and tokens, and we know the data we have already. We have our data and our prompts, which feed these language learning models. And the output, which we call a label in all the machine learning models, everything, would be y. If this gets a lot better, if this gets a lot better, Even if we keep the same data and prompts, the output, our work product, will get better mathematically. So there has to be an impact here, and it will be positive. So for those of you who might not be deep into this, many of these models, what they'll essentially do is they'll say, okay, here's the label, here's the output. This is a dog, this is a cat. And you train the model, and you serve it up many images, and it will learn how to identify dog versus cat, right? Neural network. And I noticed this the last time I saw this, but notice, like, it probably starts picking up on the key points of difference, and you train it, and you train it, and you train it, and it gets very good. So, if you have whiskers, I don't know for sure. Now that I'm thinking about it, is there any dogs who have whiskers? She's like, yes, okay. So maybe whiskers won't be the top of the list, but they have to be on the list. So we'll just start keying in on different things, and you can see, over time, how these models can get good. So essentially, it's walking through a neural network here. So you'll have a model, and each of these points, they'll be parameterized. And as it learns, it will build these parameters. And it will eventually land on some output, which is Y over there. And how it gets there, it does it. It builds it. The machine builds it. And that's where you have to probe to try to figure out what's actually happening. The code is not a lot of code. Now, you can modify the outputs by saying, hey, make sure that you try to pull, and people are doing this all the time. If you start researching things like that might be inappropriate, right? All the models will say, hey, I can't answer that question. Blah, blah, blah. That's not part of this, right? So that's going to be added. Okay, this is just in e-commerce. It's pretty fun because you have revenue. If you're a brand, you want revenue, you want money. You have to figure out traffic times conversion times price times product availability, repeat for lifetime customer value. So this is super fun for nerds because digital commerce, you can just break this down, you can war room this, and then if you get really lucky, someone builds large language models for you. So now you can even get better and faster. And if you start going a little bit deeper here, look how fun this gets. So you can start breaking down every concept here, and you can see how AI would start to be massively impactful. Pattern, we've taken brands from, I was just looking at one that we started with that was 3 million, and they just cleared 1.1 million a week. So they're like 50 million or something. And we'll take another brand that was 8 million, and they'll do 200 million this year. And it's this game. You're just going through this data, but you can see the amount of data and where AI just comes in, and you cannot compete with it. All right, so everyone when they talk AI, they always talk about ChatGPT, Bard, whatever, But there is 1,800 tools that we know of. They're releasing 25 new tools a week. Currently, Pattern, we use 33. Because you can't just use one. It doesn't work very well. You just can't get the outputs that you need. So what we've done is we've essentially said, and in order to really differentiate it, you need to have data. So we have Pattern, we have 300 trillion prompts we've been collecting over the last decade, data points. And so we can take and build, when you do prompt engineering, I'm sure, are they starting to teach prompt engineering here yet? Not yet? Probably soon. I don't think very many schools are doing prompt engineering because it's 9 months old, right? But I bet money they're going to start, this will become a really key learning. So how do you build a prompt? And we'll go through just a couple examples. What we've had to do, though, is we built this fact sheet. And I'm going to walk through an example of this. So we'll go fast. How long do I have? Okay. Skip this. All right, let's pull up the fact sheet. So we just did a presentation for one of the events we had. Hey, let's try can we build content for a brand in 20 minutes? And what could we do? So we essentially asked the audience, I was going to do this live, but all of my people said it was a bad idea. But we had just done it at several previous conferences. It takes quite a heavy lift. And because you have to build the presentation in 20 minutes. That's sort of the hard part. But what can we do in 20 minutes with AI? So in this case, they threw out a brand. Is this Hunter Fan? Yeah, so they threw out Hunter Fan brand, and we said, all right, let's see what we can do to build all their content across 8 languages. Let's do images, let's do text, and let's do social, and let's see what AI can actually do. So this is just some fun examples. Did you see how, okay, this is 246 pages. This fact sheet got generated in a matter of minutes. So it's, I think, to create the fact sheet is about 7 minutes. And I'm just going to go through a couple things here. So first off, it'll take a few images, and we're just going to have a few waypoints here. So this is a ceiling fan, and it's tokenizing this image. Tokenizing essentially will break that image down into lots of discrete points that can be analyzed by an LLM. And notice, there's a 99.993% confidence that in this picture is a ceiling fan. They're leaving the option that they're wrong, right? Now, a light fixture confidence is 54.76. Steel confidence, 47%. So you can essentially take and unwind an entire image. And this gets sort of interesting. All right, let's go to the next one. Now, again, this is 246 pages long. Okay, so this is a brand sheet. So it's essentially saying, okay, what does AI think about Hunter Fan? Now remember, this is AI informed by ART's 300 trillion data points and everything else it can also go and find. But look what it says. It's like, hey, the Hunter Fan is a minimalist, sleek, by the way, remember, this is 7 minutes. The product physical design is minimalist and sleek. It's similar to a MacBook Pro, a DeWalt cordless drill. That's quite a compliment to a Hunter Fan, right? If you guys like DeWalt. Monochromatic, simple, the matte black color of the Hunter Fan. I mean, you start going through this and you're like, wow, this is pretty damn good. It also did it in Spanish. So let's keep going. So then we break it and we say, okay, what are the jobs to be done? When we're building a prompt to do this well in e-commerce, you have to figure out, okay, what does AI think fan are? Here they are. Room temperature regulation, energy efficiency, quiet performance, low maintenance, blah, blah, blah. Easy installation. So when you're building maybe a product description, this gets pretty impactful. Keep going. Do you have the competitor one? Go back a waypoint. I think it has a competitor one on there. Scroll down. Yeah, so it grabs a competitor as well. Yeah, this is, let's see. There it is right there. Wormy Planet. So there's another one. So then you can also go and see all your competitors and say, what do they think the job is to be done for a fan? And is it different than what I'm trying to be doing with this fan? Maybe there's some differences there we ought to call out. And in this case, it's noise reduction and improved sleep quality. And the Hunter Fan, from an AI perspective, it wasn't tackling sleep quality. Maybe that's a thing, maybe that's not a thing. But you can see like a million of these small things that you cannot possibly begin to do with a human in 7 minutes are massively impactful. Keep going. Let's go to the next waypoint. Okay, so then we build personas. We're like, hey, who are the people that in general would consume this product? So individuals who value smart home integration, people who prioritize design and aesthetics in their home because it's like a DeWalt drill, quiet and comfortable indoor environment, right? So, and this is pretty damn good for 7 minutes. Matter of fact, as soon as we presented this, the Hunter Fan people were like, hey, can you send me the 250-page document to help us understand our brand, because we've been in business for like 50 years and we still haven't built one of these, right? Okay, let's go back. Oh, it takes a second. I'm like, you're walking away like. All right. Okay, so you can see where you have to build these fact sheets, but every industry will be different for this. How you go about this. But everyone can log in and create like an Amazon listing or something using AI in like 5 minutes. It's not very interesting, but how do you make one better than someone else? It requires having a lot of data, requires using all the different tools, and you have to pull all this data. We have this centralized thing here, we just call it the brain, because we have to pull all the data in that we're collecting from everywhere to store it somewhere, because AI isn't keeping track of it. You can't, unless you have to keep track of it in something so you can actually use it to prompt, right? So this is where this will get interesting, and people are ignoring a lot of the really hard stuff. So say you can create this really cool listing with nice pictures and nice text or whatever. Now, how do you get it everywhere? So maybe you're selling in China, maybe you're selling in Australia, maybe you're selling your products in Asia. Of course, you have US, Amazon, Walmart, whatever. You got to get all of that content everywhere. That's really hard. And then what if AI changes it next week? You now need a whole army that's just like, click the upload button, Amazon, fix it. Somebody's got to fix, it almost can create more problems than it's worth. So there is a lot of pieces around AI that people will have to build for different industries, and it's going to be really fun. All right, so here's our brand. This is pretty interesting. This is our tech. This is just an image. And we built this years ago before the language learning models, but it's all machine learning based, tree-based model. And what we're essentially doing is, in this case, this product, we're saying, okay, so say we have ourselves a 4.5-star product with, you can see some basic information on it, $185. Could we figure out if this product, because all money is made at a keyword phrase level. So how many dollars are attached to someone typing in ceiling fan for sleep? Could we figure that out? You can sort of figure it out. You can get close enough. And then let's look at all the competitors. Do we have what we would call destiny? Could we win a keyword or a keyword phrase against a competitive set? So you have to use AI to get to this. So who are our competitors? We use correlations across search. So we essentially say, hey, if this pops up 4th on that search term and 3rd on that search term, high correlation, okay, tag it, do that 10,000 times, and we say, okay, now we know who you compete with. This is your digital shelf. So we say, okay, now we got this fan, here's your competitive group, and now, does this fan actually have destiny? Could it win on a keyword or keyword phrase organically? Why? Because it's just better. It's a better product, it's a better price, whatever. And then if so, should we put some dollars behind that? And then could we maybe win it organically? If we could win it organically, then you can stop spending advertising money and you can basically make money forever. So this is where this gets really interesting. So output of our machine learning is called winnability. So the label, you guys remember the label on the output on machine learning? For us, for this job is winnability. So it thinks that fan, that it could win a score of 10, this is highly winnable, is indoor ceiling fan. Indoor ceiling fan with remote, also pretty good. And there may be somebody asleep at the wheel, there probably is, because all of this is AI generated. You know how this works normally? Like a group of really smart people get into a room and they whiteboard this stuff up. And then there's literally millions of these. How do you do this to sort it in a way that you know where to spend your money? So this is where you can see how impactful it is, where AI is. Now, where'd my little slide go about the jobs thing? It disappeared in here somewhere. because this is where this gets interesting job-wise. I don't think AI will take your job, per se, but I do think the people leveraging AI will. And I predict that in, I don't know, some number of years, the economic disparity will start to get bigger. Because people who are leveraging AI, they can get so much more done with fewer bodies. So those who are on leading that charge, I think the economic disparity will be bigger. And I think that a lot of people, you know, I sort of think a lot of people will lose their jobs. Simply if they're in this task motion. I think everyone, at least here, could avoid it because you're probably here, right? You know, this is sort of the group that the reason why, and our cost to serve, we track our cost to serve a brand at a percent of revenue. And last year it was 13.7%, and this year it's 11. Cost to serve a brand has gone down, you know, a couple points. Not all that's attributable to AI, but it's an interesting thing to start thinking about. Okay, so this is fun. This was completely built by AI. All the images, this is in English. This is like a product description. You could pop this out on an Amazon. You could do anything. Again, remember, a few minutes. Also did it in German. Just for the hell of it. It can do Elvish. Does anyone know if that's accurate? If you do, that's a real problem. Oh. Mandarin? Mandarin's not as good yet. We have our people, we have 200 people in China that are validating the content, and Mandarin we still have to validate. Most of the other languages are pretty good. French. Did they slip in the Eiffel Tower again? Okay, good. The team, they prompted to make sure there's an Eiffel Tower because they are having fun. But you can do so many fun things and just play around. But like, you look at this, compatible with Alexa. This one we did in 24 hours. It took us 24 hours, but we built their website. By the way, this is functioning cart. 24-hour build. Now, it's not perfect, but it's 24 hours. Check this out. So you go out and you see reviews, and you know, so this is an actual review that we just pulled down that was 4-star. The humming noise is something you have to get used to, not ideal for light sleepers, other than that, blah, 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 right? And then this is an AI response. Thank you for your positive review of the Hunter fan. We appreciate your honest feedback about the humming noise. Understand that maybe not ideal for light sleepers. However, we're pleased to hear that it works well with HomeKit, despite some minor glitches. We hope you continue to enjoy using the fan. I don't know. It's pretty good. You know, first I have 2 of these fans. One is great. The other is nothing more than trash. The trash one, remote, stopped interacting with the fan a few weeks ago. They're like, how is he going to answer this? You know, we're truly sorry to hear about the issues you've experienced with one of your fans. We value your feedback. Apologize for the inconvenience. Please consider utilizing our return policy for a refund or replacement. For further assistance, contact us to our customer service floor. And you start seeing now the thing is, you have to put all these tools together because these tools don't just come together and do all of this. You have to build them all together. And there's no one tool that's doing it. So you have to wire all this stuff up for whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. Oh, this one was fun. This was just product questions and answers. So the brand, I didn't mean to bash on the brand really, but these are their posted answer or somebody who was answering on behalf of the brand. So I broke the light cover. How do I get a new one? The posted answer out there is try their website. Or the AI answer is, we're sorry to hear about your broken light cover. You can easily order one directly from our website or contact our dedicated customer service team. We're committed, you know, it's freakishly good. all AI generated, minutes, 20 minutes. And this was, you just pull down, you can go and say, hey, what current sales do they have going? And maybe we generate a little content they could throw up somewhere. I mean, it's, the creative people in the room are probably like, it's not that good. But for us non-creatives, we're like, it's pretty damn good, right? Okay, so this is also a video, again, 20 minutes. And this is based on my avatar. And don't go, have any of you made an avatar of yourself using AI yet? They're depressing. So yeah, you've experienced this, because I had to go in 3 times for my video, because the first one they're like, why are you so sad? What was it? Sad and boring or something. And so I was in the mirror trying to practice, because if you have a normal frowny face, which I guess I did, then it looks terrible AI-wise. But you can also enhance yourself with AI and get muscles. And here's the video.
Meet the Aerodyne Ceiling Fan by Hunter Fan Company. Modern, quiet, and efficient. An absolute game changer. The Aerodyne Ceiling Fan effortlessly combines style, silence, and smart tech, making it an indispensable part of our home. With a sleek matte black finish, this 52-inch fan features a whisper-quiet motor and sure-speed technology for powerful high-speed cooling. Its LED light kit, encased in white painted glass, offers dimmable, energy-efficient lighting. It's perfect for any room with height adjustability for optimal airflow. Trust me, I'm a huge fan.
You guys got the joke? Yeah, I don't know how they did the arm thing, but it's fascinating because I didn't script that, say it. All I had was my avatar, and you can apply that avatar to a script. So think of this in the world of crime a little bit. You get on the phone, you're actually talking to me, because I didn't say any of that. And, it's getting pretty sophisticated. You could even, I could probably get on a Zoom with my mom on that. She might be like, you're a little off today, but, All right, so here's, this is jumping out into the social sphere, right? So this is complementary products. It's just pulling down like a blade-made ceiling fan, which is a competitor, complementary product, and going through and scouring to say, hey, who are their influencers? And maybe we could reach out to them. Again, this is just minutes to figure all of this out. Here's a shared audience non-competing. So this is what AI believes the Sonos, for whatever reason, has a shared audience, but is non-competing. So these influencers likely would be okay with pitching your product, and they would probably have a similar audience. Again, minutes. And then a direct competitor. This is pretty cool content. So remember how at the beginning we tokenized that image and we just broke it down? So we can basically go out there and we can say, what's the most engaging content that we can find? And for some reason, it's that. That picture on the left has 4,199 likes and 45 comments. And for the creative types, we're like, what for? But it doesn't really matter. We don't need to understand. We just need to copy. So then that's AI's content reimagined. You don't have to rent the house. You don't have to do anything. I don't know. I think it might be better. So you can then also go, is anyone familiar with Amazon's bestseller ranking? So we went down and we said, okay, what's the #1 product in the category, which happens to be tools and home improvement? And for some weird reason, it's the solar garden turtle statue. Do you guys all have one of these? But anyway, so that was a hard one because AI needs to reimagine the ceiling fan off of this #1 selling product, and you can see maybe the colors. I don't know, but that's its version of a reimagined, #1 ranking, and it's not bad. Like, there's no creative involvement in this at all. So you could also go down and you can pull down things like, so this is just a review. We found one by Carl Barron, and we were able to essentially say, okay, based on first and last name alone, using AI, let's do some probabilities. Again, first, last name, that's it. We, of course, don't have the picture of them, that's just AI generated. But, age probability is 62 with a percent chance of 60%. Male, gender probability is 90, almost 98%. So you can also, ethnicity, so on and so forth. It'll also go through the highlights and break down reviews. So we just did an employee survey. I think we had 500 and something responses, and our HR team was like, oh, we're just waiting for all the responses. So, of course, our AI team was like, well, so they just fed it all in, and they said, break it all down, and they summarized everything in like 3 minutes, and it's fascinating. This is just summarizing reviews, this review. Here's another one. All right, so I guess, how close am I? I guess the fun thing about what you can do here is you can apply this to wherever you happen to be. And it's not as easy as just like, hey, pull up Bard or ChatGPT or what you're used to. In order to do this well, you take all the technology that's evolving like every week, every month, you layer on top of it, because I don't think you'll ever be able to keep up with it with the customized models. And then you apply it to whatever you happen to love. Right? You can do this to hobbies. Like, I have done some pretty good sieve destruction on Mel, my wife, using Bard. Because ChatGPT is shit for that. Because it's like, you guys are familiar with ChatGPT, the data is, pretty old. And to beat her, who's a freak of nature genius at this game, you have to be really, really good. And so you can apply these things all over. Here's one that someday I would love to do. If anyone here is like, hey, I'd love to go do that with you, then call me or send me an email. But in the medical space, imagine, so you saw what we were able to do, right? And when you go to the doctor, and most of you probably do this, the types who are here, he's telling you something, and you're going to go research it anyway, right? And you know that he's not, he or she, is not unintelligent, but how can they possibly know about every new study that's come out on every new disease? So imagine a place where if we had some clean data, what we could do with clean data in healthcare to predict outcomes and results. It might have to come from, because everyone wants privacy, which I get, but so maybe the data will come from other countries, I don't know. But we'll probably get it eventually. Someone will build this somewhere. And imagine the impact you could have on extending life. Like if a patient says this, and this, look, this, and this. And doctors get really good, but we all know it's impossible to have all of these things in your head. So the impact you could have on a human in that space could be just fascinating. But those are just a few. And hopefully all our intent here was to give you an idea of maybe what some of the things are that's fun and possible, and I'm sure all of you're engaged in whatever it is you're passionate about or doing, and apply AI to it and have a lot of fun doing it, and then also just change the world.